"Sorry, this table is exclusive to the family." My brother said that with an ironic smile, pointing to a simple chair next to the trash. Everyone laughed as I sat alone. Then came the bill, $3,218. The waiter stared at me. I smiled calmly and replied, "And this isn't my table." "My name is Mark. I'm 34 years old, and I think I can safely say I've always been the responsible brother, not the favorite, not the rebel, not the brilliant child. Just the one who shows up on time, pays the bills, and remembers everyone's birthdays. I work in finance, live alone, and I'm not the type to draw attention. My family, on the other hand, is loud and tightly knit, almost theatrically so, great at pretending everything's fine while hiding real problems under the rug. I've always been a bit on the sidelines, present but never truly included, like someone who gets invited to weddings but never appears in the photos. My brother Thomas became the center of attention, charismatic, impulsive, always getting into trouble, yet somehow always bouncing back. He had that arrogant charm my parents loved, as if it were rare, even when he dropped out of school, lost 2 jobs, and moved back home at 28. Still, they saw him as a misunderstood genius. And me? I paid for my own college, kept the same job for over 10 years, and helped cover part of the mortgage when my dad's salary was cut. But none of that seemed important enough to earn me a special place in the family. Still, I told myself it didn't affect me. I kept my head down, sent the checks, replied to messages, showed up to family gatherings, and smiled through the jokes thinly disguised as teasing. "Mark, you're so serious." "Relax, dude, it's just a party. We figured you'd be busy. You work too much." I took it all lightly. Deep down, I believed that if I just kept showing up, one day they'd see me as part of the family, not just the guy who pays the bills. That illusion shattered last fall. It all started with a dinner. Thomas had just gotten engaged to a woman named Brooke, whom my mom already described as a true angel. My parents decided to throw an engagement dinner at a fancy rooftop restaurant downtown, an unusual move for them, which should have been a clear sign. A few weeks earlier, I got a call from my mom. "Mark, sweetie," she said in that syrupy tone she uses when she wants something, "we'd love for you to come to Thomas and Brooke's engagement dinner. It'll be such a special night." Of course I accepted. "Send me the details." She hesitated. "Oh, would it be very hard for you to help us with the reservation? Obviously, we'll pay you back." I knew "we'll pay you back" probably meant I'd never see that money again. Still, I booked a private space for 20 people and left my card as a deposit. I wasn't worried. It was Thomas's night. Maybe this time I'd actually feel involved. I arrived at 7, wearing a navy blue suit, freshly ironed shirt, and new cufflinks I kept carefully stored. I brought a quality bottle of champagne for the couple and even prepared a personalized card with their initials. When I reached the rooftop, the hostess made a discreet gesture and pointed to the reserved area. I took a deep breath and walked in. The setting was amazing. Hanging lights, floral arrangements, a jazz band playing softly. Everyone was there. My parents, Thomas, Brooke, her family, some friends, all holding glasses, chatting and laughing. I smiled and approached, expecting at least a nod of recognition. Instead, Thomas turned to me with his usual grin. "Oh, you came. Good." He didn't even notice the bottle of champagne in my hands. Then he pointed with his finger to a folding chair next to a trash bin. "Sorry, this table is for family only, but there's a chair here for you." I blinked, thinking he was joking. I looked at my mom, who gave me a forced smile. My dad chuckled nervously. Brooke didn't even look up. Some guests laughed. I stood there a second too long. I wanted to say something, anything, but my throat tightened. I felt like I was 13 again, excluded from a wedding photo because it didn't match the aesthetic. So I went to the chair, put the bottle on the floor beside me, and sat alone. I didn't even take off my coat. The waiter passed by. "Are you part of the group?" I nodded without speaking. He didn't push and handed me a glass of water before moving on. I stayed there for almost 2 hours, listening to laughter, toasts, watching presents being opened. I saw Thomas give a long speech about how lucky he was to be surrounded by close people. I saw my mom get emotional when Brooke called her a perfect mother-in-law. No one asked if I wanted to say anything. At the end, dessert was served. A cake decorated with edible gold pearls. Soft music played in the background, the sun setting behind the buildings, and I realized no one had looked at me in at least 30 minutes. Then the bill came. I saw the waiter approach the main table with a leather folder. He checked the tab and came over to me. "Excuse me, sir. The total for the evening is $3,218. May I charge the same card?" Everyone turned to look. Thomas raised an eyebrow. "Oh yeah, Mark will pay." My voice came out calm, clear, calculated. "No, it's not my table. They said this table is for family only." The silence was sharp. The air seemed heavy. Thomas's mouth fell open. My mom frowned. My dad straightened in his seat. Brooke's father fixed the scene with disapproval. The waiter hesitated. "But sir, you made the reservation." "That's true, and I paid the deposit. But I'm not with them. I'm here, at the side table." I slowly stood up, grabbed my coat, and gestured toward the trash. Apparently, this is my place. They say almost everyone heard jaws dropping. No one moved for a moment. The waiters froze with the bill in hand, as if it were radioactive. My brother looked like he'd been slapped with a fish. My mom tried something. "Mark, wait, what are you doing?" I shrugged. "I'm following the seating chart. They said this table is for family only, so I conclude I'm not part of it. I didn't eat, didn't drink, wasn't welcome, so I won't pay." Thomas scoffed. "Don't be ridiculous. It was just a joke. Relax. You always take everything too seriously." The room was silent. Even the jazz band lowered the volume, as if also feeling uncomfortable. All eyes were on me, and for the first time in years, I didn't shrink. Exactly the problem. You think everything's a joke, as long as it happens to someone else. Brooke looked confused, as if only now realizing something serious was happening. Her father, a serious man in a blazer, glared at Thomas. "You invited this man to your engagement and seated him next to a trash can?" Thomas scoffed and looked to my mom for support. She smiled nervously. "Let's calm down. It's not that bad. Mark has always been dramatic, always too sensitive." I almost laughed. It was their usual line. "He's just sensitive. He's just tired." He exaggerates. Any excuse to avoid admitting something cruel had happened, and that they allowed it. The waiter coughed. "Sorry to interrupt, but we need to process the bill before ending the private space reservation." I turned and started walking toward the elevator. That's when my dad finally spoke. "Mark, go ahead. You already paid half. Just finish it." I stopped. That phrase, "you already paid half," broke something inside me. I turned around. "You're right. I paid the deposit. I called 3 restaurants until I found one with a rooftop, as Thomas wanted. I picked the date according to his schedule. Requested custom floral arrangements because Mom said fake flowers would look cheap in the photos. I paid the $500 non-refundable deposit without complaining. I arrived on time, alone in a suit, to support my brother. I stepped closer and lowered my voice firm and clear. And what did I get in return? A folding chair next to a trash bin and a, "Sorry, this table is for family only. Now it's your turn." I turned to Thomas. "Now it's your turn, with your real family." His face was already red. He stood up, trying to assert himself, but only managed to look ridiculous. "You're making a scene." "No, I'm setting a boundary." I walked out, didn't wait for the elevator, took the stairs. Each step pulsed with adrenaline and disbelief that I'd really done it. Outside, the cold night air hit me like a slap. I loosened my tie and kept walking. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I wouldn't be coming back. I thought it would be the end, a dramatic exit, some apologies later, maybe a weak attempt to sweep it all under the rug. But I didn't imagine the consequences. That same night, when I got home still in my suit, holding the unopened bottle of champagne like a phantom limb, my phone vibrated. First a message from Thomas. "Bro, seriously? Couldn't you just pay the bill and talk to me afterward?" Then one from my mom. "You humiliated us in front of Brooke's whole family. Was that what you wanted? Revenge?" And then a call from an unknown number. It was Brooke. "Hi, Mark. I know we haven't talked much, but can I ask you a question?" "Sure. Did you really pay for everything? The deposit, the flowers, everything?" I paused. "Yes." Silence. "They told my dad you offered, that it was your idea." "I never offered. They asked, I agreed. Didn't expect anything in return, but certainly didn't expect to be treated like this." She sighed. "Well, my dad is furious. He thought you did it out of kindness. But now he says he would never have accepted the restaurant if he knew someone had been treated like family trash." We were silent. "He said Thomas and your parents humiliated you." Pause. "I don't care about dragging you into this. I just wanted you to know." I thanked her and hung up. The consequences started coming in the days that followed faster than I imagined. It started with the family WhatsApp group, the one usually only active for birthdays or parties. Suddenly, it exploded with messages. "Mom, we need to talk. Call when you can." "Thomas, you ruined everything with Brooke's family. You owe us a solution." "Dad, this is getting out of control. Just apologize and move on." I didn't respond. It wasn't just about the chair, not even about the bill. It was about all those years of being treated like an emergency contact, a designated driver, a walking wallet. And now that I finally said no, they didn't know how to handle it. What made it worse, or better, depending on the perspective, was that Brooke's father refused to quietly accept being humiliated. Through a mutual friend, I found out Mr. Whiteear had a crisis the next night. He had paid for his daughter's private school, helped set up her business, and organized the entire engagement season with elegance. To find out the groom's side lied about who paid for the night, treated a relative like garbage, and left half the bill unpaid after my refusal. According to Trent, Brooke's dad said, "If this is how they treat their own blood, imagine how they'll treat you once you officially join this family." That hurt. The impact hit Thomas like a runaway train. Overnight, the wedding plans were suspended. Brooke went back home for a mental break. Pinterest boards disappeared. My mom went into crisis management mode and sent me a long email. Yes, an email, not a text. The subject was, "Please." The body contained 5 paragraphs of sugar-coated manipulation, talking about how she never wanted to hurt me, never imagined I'd feel excluded, and how important it was for the family if I personally resolved the situation with Thomas. No word similar to apology was used. "We never imagined you would interpret things this way. We won't allow one stupid night to ruin the bonds we've built." I stared at that last sentence for a long time. What bonds? The one where I drove 3 hours on Christmas night to deliver presents because Thomas hadn't bought any? Or maybe the bond where I canceled my trip to Spain because my dad needed surgery and they couldn't afford a nurse? Or the one where I co-signed for their car loan without hesitation, the same car Thomas took and never returned? I left the email in my inbox. Didn't reply. 2 days later, my Aunt Karen, my mom's sister, called me. That was a surprise. She was never affectionate, but always direct. A serious businesswoman who owned an interior design agency, she always wore a judgmental expression. We hadn't exchanged words in over a year. "Mark, I heard about the dinner." "Of course you did. I didn't call to scold you. I just wanted to say it was time someone shook that tree." I was surprised. She sighed. "I know how your parents always avoid confrontation, pretending everything is perfect. But they've leaned on you for far too long. And Thomas, He always treated you like a secondary character in his story. Thanks. But why now? Because now, the whites are involved. And my mom is panicking. She called me yesterday asking you to come to your senses. What did you say? That you don't need sense. You need space. Maybe it's time they learn to function without using you as a crutch. It was the first time I felt like someone in my family saw me as a person, not as a checkbook or a punching bag. That night, I received another message from Thomas. The White's dad canceled the venue booking. He says we don't share the same values, fix it. No question of, can you help me, or sorry, just fix it. That's when I realized he still hadn't understood. He still saw me as a tool in his toolbox, a safety valve, a living wallet. So I decided to fix something, but not the way he expected. That same night, I accessed the joint account we opened a year ago, the same one Thomas used when he was unemployed and never bothered to close. Silently, I transferred the remaining balance to a new private savings account. Then I called the bank and closed the joint account. The next morning, Thomas called me 4 times in a row. When I finally answered, he was panicking. "What did you do, man? I have a date with Brooke tonight. I was taking her to a restaurant she likes, but my card got declined. They said the account doesn't exist anymore." "I know, I closed it." "What?" "Yeah, I can do that, and I did. You said I wasn't part of the family. So why use my money if you won't even let me sit at the table?" he stammered. "Come on, bro. Don't do this. You're jealous. Admit it. You always hated getting less attention than me. Now you're throwing a tantrum because Brooke's dad is on my side." I laughed. "Oh, Thomas. Do you really believe he's on your side?" Silence. "Don't worry. You'll figure something out. Did you ask Mom to open a new credit line in your name? Or maybe Brooke's dad can teach you to fend for yourself." I hung up. I don't know what Thomas did after that, but a few hours later my phone vibrated again, not from Thomas. It was an email with the subject, "I think we need to talk." I opened it. It was from Brooke. Longer than I expected. Polite, more personal than formal, but clearly written by someone on the edge of burnout. She explained she understood how embarrassing the dinner had been, and that she hadn't realized how I was treated before everything exploded. She admitted not paying attention. I was too focused on organizing the perfect night to see the bigger picture. She told me her father was furious, not just about the money, but about principle. He had said, if they can publicly humiliate someone who financially and emotionally supported the entire night, imagine how they'll treat you when you officially join the family. She ended, "I ended the engagement last night." She explained it wasn't just because of the dinner, but that the whole situation revealed behaviors she hadn't noticed before. This constant arrogance, the way Thomas talked about me behind my back, how he dismissed her concerns. He kept saying you were overreacting. But honestly, you were the only one who reacted with dignity. She concluded, "I'm not writing this to turn against Thomas or drag you into drama. I just wanted you to know. I see now, and I regret not seeing it sooner." I sat for a long time rereading the message. Not because I didn't believe her, but because I wasn't used to being believed. The weeks that followed were strangely quiet. The family WhatsApp group died. Thomas tried calling me 2 more times, but after I didn't answer, he gave up. I heard from others he moved back in with Brooke's parents. She returned the ring. Her father sent an official cancellation notice to the wedding venue and vendors. Some of Thomas's friends disappeared, obviously benefiting from Brooke's connections. I thought that was the end, that everything would stabilize in silence. But then, on a Sunday morning, someone knocked on my door. It was my mom. At the gate, wearing a long cardigan, holding a plate of lasagna as a peace offering, puffy eyes, smudged makeup. She didn't say anything. I pushed the gate and waited for her. "I made dinner for you." "I don't need that. I just wanted to talk. No apologies." That surprised me. I let her in. She sat at the kitchen table like she used to when I was a kid. Nervous fingers, forced smile, but this time without passive aggression. No, you're just tired. No, he didn't mean it. She cleared her throat gently. I owe you an apology. Just one? Probably several. She took a deep breath. I didn't see, not because I wasn't there, but because I didn't want to see. Thomas was always loud, took up space, and you never asked for anything. You solved everything. You were always present. We started treating you like security, something we assumed would always be there. Exactly the problem with security. People only look when it fails, never when it works. She swallowed hard. Your father and I were wrong. We let Thomas go too far. Let him treat you as less than. I stayed silent. I know. She met my gaze. I know a lasagna and a sorry don't erase years of injustice, but I wanted you to know I see now, and I'm sincerely sorry. I looked at my mom for a moment. For the first time, she didn't look away, didn't defend herself, didn't defend Thomas, didn't tell me to lower my tone or move on. She just sat there, owning it all. I nodded slowly. Thank you. After that, we didn't talk much. She left the lasagna. I walked her to the door. She didn't ask me to forgive Thomas, didn't ask me to call. She simply said, "Take care of yourself." And she left. Things didn't miraculously improve after that, but they didn't get worse either. My parents started sending me individual messages, short, respectful. My mom invited me for Thanksgiving in a few months. Just if you feel comfortable. I haven't decided if I'll go. Thomas, from what I heard, started working part-time at a startup. He hates living for free, avoids mirrors, and hasn't tried contacting me again. And I'm okay with that. In the end, nothing like being treated like a stranger in your own family to realize you never really belonged. They literally laughed in my face next to the trash and still expected me to pay for everything. After all, what are anonymous heroes for, right? I played the perfect role for years, the responsible one, the payer, the invisible one. Only sometimes, even ghosts decide to haunt back. I guess no one imagined the useful brother could say no, and especially not that his refusal would come with a moral invoice fully paid. Now everyone wants to talk, apologize, or blame someone. But the truth is simple. It wasn't the dinner that broke something. It was just the moment I finally stopped being the support and became the protagonist of my own life. And that, yes, hurt them.